Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. My name is Aakash Singh. I'm a software engineer and I started coding when I was in school, exactly the same age as you guys are right now. So, with the help of these videos, I want to explain a couple of things about Python language and how you can write a code. You can definitely find theory on the internet. अगर आप स्कूल में पढ़ रहे हो तो आपको थ्योरी के बारे में बहुत पढ़ाया जाएगा, but they generally don't teach you how to write a proper Python program. So in this video we'll be looking at the calculation based programs जहाँ पर हम लोग formulas या फिर कुछ logic decide करके programming करेंगे. And before we begin, a couple of tips while writing a Python program. Specifically for this video, we'll be looking at formulas. The formulas first have to be converted in a way that Python can understand it. In the session, we will also look at a couple of other techniques where you create temporary variables. आप सिर्फ एक या दो वेरिएबल्स से काम नहीं चला सकते हो. If you want, you can add more variables to your program, given that your program starts to work in a better way. We can also use flags and counter variables. It is just like your red light and green light, but inside a Python program. Also using a couple of techniques of finding the last digit of a number, or maybe finding if a number is even or odd. All these things help you write better code. So let's start off with the first problem, जहाँ पर हम लोग एक बहुत ही simple question देखने वाले हैं. Write a program to calculate the area of a triangle. The first thing which comes into our mind is that the area of a triangle is half into base into height. So this would be the formula of a triangle, area of a triangle. What do we need the input from user? What are the inputs we need? First of all, we need to input the base. Secondly, we need to input the height. So I will be taking variables of the same name. मैं कुछ अलग b and h नहीं लिखूंगा. I will just use the same name. Okay, so in Python language, if I want to write the formula as this, I just need to write pretty easy, right? And some of you might be thinking, why did we take 0.5 and why not 1 by 2? 0.5 is easier to write, and also you can use this notation also. But in Python, whenever we are calculating percentages, जब भी हम लोग fractions में calculations कर रहे हैं, if you know what the fraction is, like 1 by 10 is 0.1, 1 by 2 is 0.5, you can just directly write in the decimal format. So let's see how this program looks in the Jupyter notebook. I've already written it down. We have the base, we have the height, and I've also stored the area inside a variable with the following formula. Looking at the area of triangle, we can get this output 76.5. So you can also change it to decimals or not decimals. It's your call, because in Python language आपको specify नहीं करना होता है if it's an integer data type or a decimal. Python automatically determines that. So first problem was pretty simple. Let's look at the next one, जहाँ पर हमें EMI calculate करनी है. Again, in such problems, the most important thing that you need to remember is the formula itself. So I have written down the formula. The next step would be to determine what are the inputs from the user. So हम लोग user से principal amount का input लेने वाले हैं, monthly rate of interest, and the number of months. Now, in a general case scenario, number of months will not be in decimals, it will only be in integer type. Rate of interest will be in percentage. So let's say if I write 5% in on paper, but for Python, I have to convert this into the mathematical notation of 5 by 100, which means 0.05. And P is the principal amount. It can be in integers, it can be in decimals. So once we have determined what are the inputs, these are the inputs, and this would be the output. So let's just convert it into a way that Python can understand it. I say I will be taking the same name of the variables, P into R into. So for exponential notation, I have to use two asterisks, which means raise to. Okay, so this is the numerator, but we also have a denominator for this entire thing. So we take this inside the brackets and divide by again the denominator, exponent, which is raised to n, and minus 1. So this is a format which Python can actually understand. So I've already written down the program where we have the input P, rate of interest R, the number of months, which is n, equal to 12. Now, if I want to print something like this, EMI is, and I print the value of E. So EMI would come out to be 112 point something. So it makes sense if you have about 1000 rupees, percentage of rate is 5%, and for 12 months, the EMI should be just above some 100. Okay, so this was the second problem. Again, quite easy. You just have to convert a simple mathematical formula into something that Python can understand. Next program would ask you to calculate tax or generally GST. So it has a simple formula. For this, we need the GST rate. So let's assume that GST rate is 12%. Okay, so this would be the input from the user. And also the other thing you need to take the input from the user is the price. Price can be any decimal or integer value. So again, for the GST rate, we need to convert this into its mathematical form, which is 0.12. And let's take price as 1000 again. And if I want to find the final price or the amount, it should look like price plus GST into price. So original price, and we are adding the total GST to it. So this would be the GST amount. I hope it's clear till now. It's just basic mathematics. You're just converting percentage into numerical terms. Wait just a moment. Yep. Okay, so I've already written down the program. You can see price is 1000, GST is 12%. Final price is GST into price, and also adding the main amount, print total price. So that would be in the variable final price. But what if I just want to print the GST amount? I can also write that total GST amount, and it would be nothing but this value. So in order to print this, I can directly write it like GST into price, or I can create a separate variable which stores this value. In either case, you will get the same answer. So total price is 1120 and total GST amount comes out to be 120 rupees. Again, quite straightforward, just converting mathematical formulas into something Python can understand. The next problem will have some more element to it. We will be using if-else conditional statements. So let's first understand how do you calculate tax. So Government of India has given certain slabs. This is your yearly income. And this is the tax rate. So how this works is, if your income is less than 2.5 lakhs, there is no amount to be paid, which means your tax rate is 0. But if your income is above 2.5 lakh, but below 3 lakhs, your income is taxable at the rate of 5%. But the taxable income is whatever your amount is. Let's say your income is 2,75,000. So the tax won't be on this entire amount. It will be this minus the lower limit, which is this. Similarly, if I have income of about 4 lakhs, the tax percentage would be 5%, but the taxable income would be 4 lakhs minus 3 lakhs. So the amount of tax would be 1 lakh into 5%. Similarly, for all the other slabs, you calculate it accordingly. So how do we convert this into a Python program? So let's have a look at the Jupyter notebook. So again, I have kept a couple of variables here. So let's first see what are the variables which we'll be using. The first variable is income, which we need to input from the user. It can be anything, any value between 0 to, I don't know, infinity, but that's not possible. But anyways, taxable income stores the amount at which your income will be taxed. So it is exactly this thing, 2.75 minus 2 lakh 50,000. So basically 25,000. So we are calculating taxable income as your income minus the lower limit in which your slab falls. Next is the tax rate. We'll be storing this tax rate in this variable. And finally, we're calculating the tax. So these are the variables which you're going to take. Okay, so let's look at the conditions. First of all, let's assume my income is less than 2.5 lakhs. So for that, I create an if block which says, if my income is less than 2.5 lakhs, my taxable income is 0 and my tax rate is also 0. So the way this program works is you have to find out your taxable income and your tax rate. There are other ways to solve this problem, but I'm using this approach because it's the simplest approach that you can find. So what if the income is not less than 2.5 lakhs? If it's greater than 2.5 lakhs, you can write this block where you say your income is greater than 2.5 lakhs and less than. So looking at the slab, which is 3 lakhs. So taxable income would be your income minus the lower slab. And your tax rate is 5% as we already saw. But if this is not the case, then we say if income is greater than 3 lakhs and your income is less than 5 lakhs. I hope this is correct. Yes. So what your taxable income and tax rate become are, taxable income is income minus the lower limit, which is 3 lakhs. And the tax rate actually stays the same. It does not change. I'm just copy pasting because it's easier that way. And if you have a practical exam, you can also do the same. But it's a different scenario if you're writing it on paper. It gets difficult then. In the next block, I want to take another condition where my income is greater than 5 lakh, but less than 10 lakhs. So again, my taxable income becomes my total income minus the lower limit, which is 5 lakhs. And the tax rate increases to, I think, 10%. No, it's 20%. Right? So we have 4 slabs done and the last one is remaining. In the last one, you can use elif income is greater than 10 lakhs, or you can just use the else block. Assuming that no one inputs a negative salary, in that case, this block will be executed. So this is a taxable income and the tax rate has increased to 30%. So now using this, we have our taxable income and we have our tax rate. So it would be really easy for us to calculate our final tax price. So tax amount would equal to taxable income into tax rate. So this would give us our you need to pay and printing the tax amount. So for this, I am taking it as 10 lakhs exactly. Okay, so you need to pay 0. That shouldn't be the right answer. Taxable income. Let's just look at the program. Where is the error? All right. Income is less than 2.5 lakhs. Let's try to take another input of 3 lakhs and see what the output is. Yes, so I think this would be right. If I increase it to one more zero, you need to pay, right? So I think the variables were not updated there. Okay, so in this program, you have to check for one more thing, that you are writing the equal to signs. So that's what was missing. It plays a very important role, because if I put 10 lakhs here and the equal to sign is not there, it will not go into any of the blocks and the variables will still stay the same. So now I have edited it. I think we should get the right answer now. Okay, so this is our tax amount. Okay, so this is how you can create a program which calculates your income tax. Now it depends on the slabs. The slabs can change each year. So accordingly, you can change your Python program as well. Looking at the next program where we have to find the average and grade for given marks. Now we all study in schools, used to study actually. So we used to get our marks in mathematics, physics, chemistry. In our report card, we have a percentage associated, we have a grade, maybe it's A plus, maybe it's A, maybe it's B. So using this program, we want to find out what is the average score of the student and what is the grade that he's getting. So making it quite simple, let's just say we are taking physics, chemistry and mathematics marks from the user. This is your input. Your output would be your average marks and your grade. So simply speaking, in order to calculate the average, what you need to do is you can add all marks, then divide it by the number of subjects. So it's a very simple approach. But while calculating the grade, you need to refer to the average score. So for this, I'll be considering this notation. So if your average marks are between 90 and 100, you get an A grade. If it's from 90 to 80, you get B grade, and so on. There is another way which you can create this program, is not giving the grades such as A and B, but giving the pass and fail. In order to create this, you just have to say if your average marks is greater than 33, you print pass. Else, if your average is less than 33, you print fail. So let's see how this program looks in a Python notebook. Okay, so over here, I have taken the three variables, maths, physics, and chemistry. So we are calculating the average marks and storing it in the variable AVG. So for the second case, where we just have to find out if the student has passed or failed, we can use this conditional block which says if average score is greater than 33, you can print pass, else you'll print fail. So with these marks, the student is definitely failing because it's too less. If I want to create some other notation of creating a grade, let's see how we can do that. So if your average is less than 100 and average is greater than equal to 90, so print A grade. So the next block could be greater than equal to 80. You can print B grade. Just copy pasting the block again. For the second block, I'm giving the C grade. Also, you can create as many grades as you like, depending on the problem that you're facing. So in the last one, I'll be just writing else print D grade. So with this, I can also say average marks are printing average, and also So that it looks good, I will be printing it before printing the grade. Okay, so this looks good. So average marks are 18 and the grade is D grade. Let's try to increase the marks, 58 and probably 88. So average marks are 75% and the student has received a C grade. All right, so this is how you can create a simple program to calculate your percentage, maybe some other grades, or maybe just to find out the total of your marks in all subjects. Okay, so this was all calculation based. Let's move on to a bit of more logical type of programs where we try to find out the factorials, or maybe what are the divisors, how you can find out the prime numbers. So the first program that we see here is to generate divisors of a number. So we have all studied divisors. Divisors means if a number can divide other number completely, that is a divisor. For example, if I have 15, the divisors of 15 are 3 and 5. Also, do not forget number 1 and the number itself. So these all are divisors. But for a prime number, there are only two divisors, which are 1 and the number itself. If a number has any other divisors apart from these two, then it's said to be a composite number. So for this program, we'll be generating divisors of any number. Let's take an example of 15. So the input from the user will be n. Let's take the example of 15. So in a very simple logic, in order to find out the divisors for any number, we start it by dividing from 2, 3, 4, 5 till the number itself, or maybe one less than the number till 14. So if I start dividing 15 by each of these numbers, I can find out what the divisor is. But is this the right approach? Do we actually need to go till 14, or can we cut down the range till a half part? Let's take another example of n equal to 100. We know that 2 divides it. We know that 3 does not divide it. We know that 4 divides it, 5 divides it, and so on. But after reaching 50, you can be very sure that no number greater than 50 can actually divide 100. So what we can find out is we need to create a range from 2 till n minus 1, or basically n. So if any number is given, you have to find out if each of these numbers within this list can divide the number or not. I hope the logic is clear now. So how do we create this? We use range 2, but we need to write n plus 1. This should be n by 2, right? Because we do not want the range to go till the last part. Okay, so let's see how this program looks in a Python notebook. So I've already written down this program. Let's see how this is working. The input from the user, I've taken it as 150. Now this part is actually important, where I'm creating the range. So as we know, we do not want to include 1 because it obviously divides every number. So we start from 2 and we go till the half of the number. In this case, this value should be 75. The reason we are adding plus 1 is the range function goes only till n minus 1. And the next step would be to check if the values inside the range function are actually dividing 150 or not. So for that purpose, we are using the percentage sign, which tells you that if I divide n by I, and if the remainder comes out to be 0, it means that I is a divisor for n. So executing this, we get the answer. If I try to change it to something like 1780, I also get all the divisors for this number. I can also increase it. So with each value that the user inputs, you will be getting all the divisors for that particular number. So this approach is a very simple approach for finding the divisors of any kind of number.